Yo, what's up everybody? It's your boy Elvious Void coming back with a new series on the channel. This series is mainly centered around my favorite hashira in the Demon Slayer franchise, that being Giyuu Tomioka. Giyuu Tomioka is the water hashira in the Demon Slayer franchise, and as I said before, is my favorite hashira out of all the other hashira in Demon Slayer. With him being the reincarnation of Naruto, Naruto being the reincarnation of him, it will mean for a great story, and I'll just begin to that now. But before I actually do start this what if, I'm going to ask everyone that's watching this video to please hit that like button as well as that subscribe button, as I want to reach 1k nearly by the end of this week, and I would really appreciate your contribution to the channel. Without further ado, let's just get right into this. We'll start this what if with a bit of a background on Minato as well as Kushina. With their personalities still being the same, Minato's physical appearance would be changed dramatically. Instead of his bright blonde hair, he would instead have dark black hair, similar to the Uchiha clan. And instead of his lightly colored blue eyes, he would instead have a duller darker blue eyes, similar to like navel color, with that pretty much being the end result of everything I'm changing appearance wise of Naruto's parents. We'll basically just get right into the what if now. We start this what if with the birth of Naruto. With Naruto as well as Kushina still being the Nine-Tailed Shinchuriki at the time, they would have Kushina's pregnancy and birth of Naruto on an off-site location further away from the village, in case of the occurrence of the Nine-Tails breaking free of the seal during Naruto's birth. With the same activities and stuff happening in the original, Kushina would give birth to Naruto, but suddenly the masked man would appearing out of a vortex, killing the nurses surrounding the area and grabbing baby Naruto away from Minato before he could grab him, phasing right through him. With Obito, who is now being portrayed as Madara Uchiha, would try to gamble with Minato, saying that he will give Naruto back in a trade for Kushina, the Nine-Tailed Shinchuriki. With Minato still not wanting to give either or to the masked man, Madara, Obito would place a whole bunch of explosion seal tags on Naruto, throwing him into the sky to try to distract Minato so he could grab Kushina in the madness of it all with the exploding of Naruto. But because Minato and his flying Raijin seal, he would easily be able to take Naruto and flashing him away to an off-site location inside the village, away from where the masked man is. With Obito now gunning for Kushina, he would immediately grab her, warping him as well as Kushina into his Kamui and off to the unsealing situation that he had prepared before all this. With Obito now unsealing the Nine-Tails out of Kushina, Kushina would be dramatically injured through the encounter with taking the Nine-Tails out of herself, and Obito would then place the Nine-Tails into a sealing pack, as well as casting a genjutsu over him, controlling the Nine-Tails with one of his Mangekyo Sharingans. With Kushina now on the floor, near her death, Minato would flash back onto the ceiling that he had put on Kushina before he left, asking what had happened, with Kushina telling him what happened, saying that saying that the masked man had taken the Nine-Tails out of her, as well as, placed it into a summoning pact of what she could see, as she is very intertwined with knowing about ceilings, as she is an Uzumaki. With Minato now knowing what he has to do, with Kushina now seeming to be on her deathbed and the Nine-Tails now out of Konoha's grasp, he would start to think of different situations in which Konoha could reclaim the Nine-Tails. But before he could continue thinking out a probable plan, the Nine-Tails was summoned into the village, destroying a great deal of it in the general summoning of it, destroying massive buildings and wiping out a lot of the citizens, as well as the ninja trying to evacuate as many people as possible. With Minato now stealing his nerves, he would immediately flash off with Kushina and place her with Naruto, as well as grabbing his Hokage robes and getting ready to take on the Ninetales. With Minato, whose instead of his yellow flash, it would be a blue flash, he would immediately flash all over the place and use his flying Raijin seals and seal away the Bijudama that was launched at the village, saving it from destruction. We'll skip a whole bunch of this fighting because there's not much to do with any of it, but Minato would still, in the event of fighting with Obito, he would still win, and Obito would be unable to keep on controlling the Ninetales, and the Ninetales would be in its basic control, and would still continue to fight off the ninjas as well as destroy the village, as he has now escaped from this Jinchuriki host. With Minato now coming and flashing back to where Naruto and Kushina is, he would grab the two of them, saying that they need to seal the Ninetales inside of Naruto. With Kushina not wanting to burden Naruto like this, she would immediately tell Minato that he just needs to seal it into herself so that she can die, bringing the Ninetales down with her. But Minato points out that the Ninetales will just reform after a few years after Kushina's death. With Minato not really seeing another way, he would tell Kushina to hold off the Ninetales using her Uzumaki chakra chains, and would start to create the platform in which he would seal the Ninetales into Naruto. With the same mishap happening, Minato would use the Reaper Death Seal, sealing half of the QB inside himself, as well as the other half into Naruto, and the event as well would be stabbed in the chest along with Kushina in the event to save Naruto from the Ninetales' grasp. With Minato and Kushina now dead, Naruto being in the Ninetales Jinchuriki, this is where the story starts for our protagonist. We'll skip a few years, 4 years to be exact. Naruto is at the age of 4 and he's beginning to walk around the village. During this time, Danzo had petitioned to the council that they need to know who the Ninetales Jinchuriki is and what happened to the Ninetales. With Hiruzen not seeing any other way to get around this, he would have to explain that Naruto is the Ninetales Jinchuriki, and he was trying to hide this fact from everyone else, as he didn't want to burden the boy, as having a lot of the people know that he's the demon's container. With this knowledge coming out, Danzo would use his root Anbu to spread the information around the village. But Hiruzen, thinking that Danzo would definitely do this, would put in place a law, saying that if anyone spoke about the Ninetales to anybody, they would be punishable by death. This would basically, he would say that this is an excuse for not wanting the information to be leaked out to the other villagers. With Naruto now being an outcast of the village, his happy exterior would be cut off completely, constantly having a stoic look on his face, seemingly unfazed by it all, but internally he is struggling. As a 4-year-old who had just been kicked out of the orphanage because of the judgment and the hatred from the nurses and the caretakers at the orphanage, Hiruzen, the third Hokage, would have to get a home for Naruto to stay at. Now being alone at the age of 4, having to take care of himself, being given a monthly allowance. With Naruto, his facial expression being stoic and emotionless, he would try to make friends with people, but they'd be put off by his exterior, as well as their parents hushing them away from the child, as they don't want Naruto to corrupt them, as well as them also being scared if Naruto has an outbreak and could possibly hurt their child, not really understanding how the sealing works. With still the hatred of the village, Naruto would continue to grow up, being off-cut from the rest of the village, being basically the pharaoh of the village, with no one really wanting to be his friend, except for a few people, that being Shikamaru and that little gang, that being, I think it was Kiba and Choji and Shino, with Naruto taking a bigger liking to Shikamaru and Shino, as they both also have a type of stoic and stoic facial expression, Shino's being much more like himself, seemingly emotionless. But still, they had emotions. With Naruto, who are friends with these three boys, but aren't on a deeper level with how they are friends with each other because of their parents all being friends with each other. Naruto would still be an outcast to the rest of the village, only finding only finding comfort in himself and starting to train as he wants to become a ninja. After talking with the third Hokage as well, on one of his 5th birthdays, he would find out that the villagers, after taking Naruto to some ramen, that the villagers look at the third Hokage with love and respect, but Naruto not the same. The third Hokage would explain that this is probably because he's the Hokage, which would immediately put in the goal into Naruto. He wants to become the Hokage to get the approval of everyone else in the village, that love and respect that he seems to lack from everyone in the village at this time. We'll skip to when Naruto is 7, because there's not much really happening during those years. Naruto would have begun to train by himself, and would have seemed to have an extraordinary healing ability, and having a tremendous amount of stamina, as well as chakra, but he wouldn't know the last bit, just believing that he had an extreme amount of stamina, and his healing capabilities were on a greater length than anybody else of his, any one of his peers. With Naruto now going into the academy for ninjas, he would start to so much. He would start to make friends with mainly Shikamaru and his gang that he was with before, and wouldn't really make friends with anybody else, as well as seeing a certain Uchiha in the back, starting to brood over and seemingly having a stoic face, but he could tell that Sasuke was furious. He was full of anger and contempt over something that he didn't know. During this time as well, the Uchiha massacre would have happened the exact same, as there's no real difference of what would happen during these years. With Naruto now in the classroom, he would see that their teachers are Iruka as well as Mizuki, and could see on their faces as well, mainly Iruka, that he was biased towards him, someone that seemingly hated Naruto, but wouldn't make it fully shown, as he still was the teacher of Naruto. During this time, Iruka hasn't fully known everything about Naruto, as it's only the first day of the academy. While Naruto walks in, he would start to look around to see if any other children he could sit next to his age. Well, that's pretty much everyone. And would see that these are all children of, or mostly all children or heirs to clans in the village, and would see that they're all sitting next to each other, and would walk off, sitting next to Sasuke, who was brooding in the corner, sitting down next to him, and not striking conversation. Instead, just sitting down straight and looking at the board, mainly Iruka, as Iruka seems to be staring at him, and hasn't taken his eyes off him since he came into the building. With Naruto, whose abilities with his physical abilities being much stronger instead of the original, as Naruto had seemingly started to train his body in a sense, unlike the original, doing normal kid activities, but still as well training his body in a way that he'd be physically more advanced than anybody else of his peers. With the first week going ahead as usual for the academy, Naruto would try to make friends with the other kids, but seemingly everyone is weirded out by him, as he doesn't seem to show any emotion, always having a stoic and unbothered expression on his face, as well as having a reserved personality, as he doesn't seem to get along with others, but internally he wants to get along with everyone, as he's not able to fully show his emotions as much as he would like to. With Naruto, who has tried to, not only tried, but kind of did try to strike a conversation with Sasuke, it'd be to no avail, as Sasuke seemingly doesn't want to get involved with anybody, as he only has one goal in his life, to kill Itachi, his brother. With Naruto, we'll just skip another year, because not much will happen in these early academy days. On Naruto's 8th birthday, he would be meted by the third Hokage, who would open the door to Naruto's, his little apartment, bringing in a gift with him. The third Hokage would say happy birthday to Naruto, with Naruto having a slight smile on his face, running over and jumping and hugging the third Hokage, asking him where he's been, and he was a little late to his birthday. But there's really no one in his apartment, and the Naruto was only really waiting for the third Hokage, as he doesn't have any true friends to come and celebrate his birthday with. With the third Hokage smiling, letting the boy jump down, he would say that he brought him a birthday gift, and with giving it to Naruto, Naruto would immediately rip open the gift, showing a short, not a short sword, but it's kind of short because of the length of Naruto's body, but would show a short sword, being black in color, not having any of the blue tints that Giyuu's sword have in the original, but that would become later. With Naruto immediately smiling, a facial expression that the third Hokage hasn't seen for a while, he would immediately feel happy about giving the gift to Naruto, as he thought he'd like it, as Naruto did seem to show a lot of interest in swords, after always seeing him through the crystal ball look at these different ninja shops and looking at these swords. With Naruto picking up the sword, it would seem extremely light to him, but that's just because of his physical capabilities, being his strength is much stronger than the original, as well as all of his other abilities. With Naruto picking up the sword, he would thank his non-maternal grandfather and immediately hug him, with him asking how he's going to train with the sword. Hiruzen would say that Naruto can train by himself, or if he finds any ninjas that are willing to teach him, he can ask them. With that pretty much being the end of Naruto's birthday, we'll skip another year. Naruto during this year, this would be when he's 9 years old now, he would have started to train in his swordsmanship, and with his blade, not being a Nichiren blade, would start to develop different type of stances and techniques, and with his swordsmanship, he would start to become a novice swordsman completely, and wouldn't know any of the water breathing at this moment, but has started to have a type of control over his breath. Naruto would have trained intensely and would have started to master total concentration breathing, which is an advanced type of breathing technique where Naruto would inhale the maximum amount of oxygen within a few specific breath patterns to raise his physical and mental prowess to the utmost limits of his body, which would have been greatly improved his physical capabilities because of the increasing amount of chakra, an extraordinary amount of chakra that Naruto possesses. With him being half Uzumaki and his breathing techniques, with him being able to advance his physical prowess to the maximum of how much his chakra can allow him, it would basically be a form of chakra control in a sense, with Naruto getting a higher chakra control, as well as being able to physically and mentally improve himself. With Naruto with this, and combining it with his swordsman skills, he would be an absolute prodigy in swordsman skills, except for his ninjutsu. With Naruto, because he has an extraordinary amount of chakra and a limited amount of chakra control, he would still only be able to perform the 2 of the 3 jutsus that are necessary to pass the academy, that being the substitution jutsu and the transformation jutsu. Naruto wouldn't have created the sexy jutsu, which is an S rank, secret and secure jutsu, but instead would have just tried to perform the regular transformation jutsus, as well as I just had it, not transformation, I can't believe I've forgotten it, the one where you swap places with other people, I can't believe I forgot that, as well as him not being able to perform the clone jutsus, because he has an extreme amount of chakra, he can't split that up into small and insignificant amount of chakra. With Naruto, who is still extremely physically superior to all those in his class, he would still be the number one in all physical attributes of the class. With Naruto as well, having a more stoic and reserved personality, he wouldn't be outgoing like he is in the original, but instead would like to study and learn a lot of the ninja arts, as well as the history, and basically learn all of this type of stuff in the academy. With Naruto not being number one in his academics, but still being in the top 5 of the class. As Naruto, he is very intelligent, but he's just not on the higher aspects of such as Sakura, but still is extremely intelligent, as well as, Shikamaru, but that doesn't really matter. With Naruto now at the age of 10, we'll skip another year, he would have started to completely master all the different stances that he basically made up with for his swordsman skills, and with his total concentration, he would have completely mastered it, now being extremely more powerful than he was a year ago. Sasuke, seeing the years go by, would see how Naruto's physical attributes are increasing exponentially every single year, outclassing him in every way, minus the amount of, being able to perform the clone jutsu, but still. He would see that Naruto is improving in a much greater speed than he is, and would start to confront Naruto about all that's happening with how he's training and how he's getting strong so fast. With Naruto and Sasuke now being at the age of 10, Sasuke would continue to not really try to become friends with Naruto, but instead would try to get as much information on how Naruto trains to get stronger and attempt to gain enough strength, as well as the techniques that Naruto uses to defeat his brother. Naruto, who seemingly doesn't have any type of hatred towards Sasuke, will tell Sasuke the techniques that he's come up with, that being total concentration breathing. With Naruto offering Sasuke for him to come over to his house or to any training field to train with him, as he's aiming to be the Hokage of the village and to be the strongest, so that those of the village will respect and love him, as he is hoping for all this time. With Sasuke, who accepted this offer, would have gone to Naruto's house, seeing that Naruto is also an orphan, and would see that he has a type of connection to Naruto, both being orphans and seemingly outcasts of the village, that being Sasuke, the last Uchiha, seemingly loyal to the village, that, the villagers know of, and being the last of the Uchiha clan, and Naruto being the pharaoh of the village, an outcast, someone that has no one to back him up, seemingly just like Sasuke. With Sasuke seeing this, he would see the connections between himself and Naruto, and would lower his guard in a sense, and ask again how Naruto mastered his total concentration breathing, and how it works completely, as he still wants to know. Naruto would explain that total concentration breathing has basically 2 parts, that being the total just the regular total concentration breathing, and total concentration constant, that being the being able to use total concentration breathing states during the morning, noon, and night, and seemingly asleep as well for the advanced users of this technique. With Naruto, who had mastered all of these things, that being total concentration constant, he would constantly have, this type of breathing technique, and his physical attributes would be, constantly improving exponentially every single day, as Naruto's physical capabilities are again improving day after day after day. With Naruto now taking the type of special gourd, he would give it to Sasuke, telling him that he needs to blow this gourd up and destroy it just by breathing in. With Sasuke seeing that this doesn't seem so hard, he would try, but instead get flushed around his cheeks and would huff out as much as he can, but would fail to break the small gourd. With Naruto saying that he's doing it wrong and to try a different way of breathing. He would give an example of how he breathes and the pattern that is needed to do it. With Naruto and Sasuke continuing to training, weeks would go by, and those weeks would turn into months, and a friendship would start to form between Naruto and Sasuke, both looking like the brooding types, with Naruto not really being broody, but Sasuke being the broody one. As a friendship would form between the two, it would turn into a type of brotherhood, with Sasuke telling Naruto of his goal and the backstory about his brother. With Naruto seeing this, he would shed a tear, saying that it is a very sad he has a very sad history with his family as well as his brother. I would tell him about his past, saying that he doesn't know why, but he's an outcast of the village. Everyone seemingly has hateful looks at him, and the parents of the children all seem to tell their kids to stay away from him. With them confiding in each other, their friendship would blossom into something, like the best friendship. Nothing, really sexual, but it's like brotherhood, because they are reincarnations of Indra and Ashura. With Naruto and Sasuke, who have become best friends during this time, he would tell Sasuke that she probably pick up swordsmanship, as having a sword is something, and training in swordsmanship is a skill that he probably should have. As being a ninja, he's gonna have to kill people, or not really kill people, but probably have to kill people. But it would increase his capabilities that he has right now, as kunais are very small, but they are still very good. And having a sword seemingly has more attack power than a kunai. With Naruto, who is starting to using his different stances as well as his breathing techniques, he would start to create something different, that being the starting of water breathing. With Naruto and Sasuke now being 11 years old, Sasuke would still have his fangirls, with Naruto just being there, sitting next to Naruto all the time, occasionally being asked to get out of his seat by Sakura, but would be warded off by Sasuke, telling her that she's annoying and to leave Naruto alone. With all the kids knowing that Sasuke and Naruto are pretty much best friends at this point, a lot of them would back off on bullying Naruto, namely being the girls or the fangirls of Sasuke, as they don't want to get on Sasuke's bad side. As well as all the bullying and stuff that happened in the original would just not happen. Naruto wouldn't try to gain the attention of Sakura, as he's not really competitive with Sasuke in that way, more as they are rivals in the good sense of what a real rivalry is really about. With Naruto at the age of 11 now, like I said before, he would have been able to complete the first form of water breathing, that being first form, water surface slash, in which he would generate enough momentum to create a powerful singular concentrated slash. With Naruto, who, unlike his original counterpart, would have the wind affinity, but instead would have a massive water affinity, being much stronger than the second Hokage's water affinity, and would be able to, without really having hand signs, be able to create a water jutsu, which would seemingly come off of the blade of Naruto's blade, and would now concrete Naruto of creating the first breathing form of water breathing. With Sasuke, who sees this, he would want to copy Naruto, but Naruto would tell him to create his own techniques, as it is something that he needs to create himself, as his breathing technique is basically an extension of himself, and he doesn't want that to be copied by anybody. With Sasuke seeing the point in that, he would start to create try to create a breathing technique, but his stance and his breathing capabilities aren't at the extent of what Naruto's is, as Naruto was a prodigy in that part of the ninja arts, that being just swordsmanship in general. With Naruto and Sasuke now aging another year, being at the age of 12 years old, Naruto would have completed 4 forms of the water breathing, that being the second form, water wheel, third form, flowing dance, fourth form, striking tide. As well as Sasuke, who would have started to after mastering all his breathing, oh my god, I can't believe I forgot to say that. His total concentration breathing, he would have started to create the fire breathing demon slayer techniques. That being the first form, unknowing fire, being the first form and the only form that Sasuke has seemingly created at this point, with Sasuke as well having a much bigger affinity for fire instead of lightning in this type of universe. He would also have the same type of affinity as Naruto, having a massive affinity for fire instead of water or lightning. It would be able to create a type of fire that would seemingly come off of his blade as well. With Naruto's and mainly Naruto's blade getting extremely small for his body size now, he would ask the third Hokage if he can get him another sword, as his tools, or his sword, is seemingly not up to par with his his height and how big he is now. With the third Hokage agreeing to this, he would get Naruto a prestige sword, and that being a Nichiren blade from the Land of Iron, in which he had asked for a custom sword, and would be made out of the finest metals, which would be the metals that are used for regular Nichiren blades. With the third Hokage now giving Naruto the blade, as well as Sasuke, who had also asked, he would have gotten these two identical blades. Well, not identical. Sasuke's would have had a fire hilt, and Naruto's would have had a regular hilt, as he didn't ask for anything fancy. With Naruto, as well as Sasuke, as soon as they grabbed the blade, or the hilt of the blade, the actual blade of it would turn into their respective colors. Naruto's a blue, and Sasuke's I think it was red. I don't even know what colors. Yeah, Sasuke's would turn a red. What type of red? I think it's orange, but I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, that's pretty much where I want to leave it. With Naruto as well, this would be the final. With the next part of this what if, it would be the final year of the academy, which would then go into the the Land of Waves arc, and Naruto and his team going into the becoming Genin. So if you like this what if, please hit that like button and the subscribe button, as it would really mean a lot to me. So yeah, let's just hit 1K before the end of the week, and I'll see you guys later.